get into some more of this later too. But the student debt forgiveness, and then there was the affirmative action case at the Supreme Court, and those both got shot down, right? The affirmative action was probably in my opinion, was the bigger of the two, because it's going to have probably the most devastating lasting effect on this country. You're going to see it really is going to harm Black and Hispanic kids. It's going to make it harder for them to get into college. But they left open legacy admissions. Now, for those of you who don't know, you know what a legacy, you can explain what a legacy admission is, right, Liz?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, this is when somebody gets admitted to a school because of somebody in their family having already gone to that school. Right. Frequently, they're, donors, alum, etc., and you've got somebody who's alum, so you get in. Or if you're alum somewhere and maybe your kid or your nephew or something gets in. Right.
If you come from a wealthy family and your parents went there, your grandparents went there, you pretty much automatically get admitted. Right. Well.
Right.
The whole deal was with affirmative action being gone. Well, why should legacy admissions still be allowed? Right. Well, let's see. We're going to watch Anna Kasparian here with the Young Turks, and she's going to talk about this.
Is taking aim at legacy admissions, what's also been dubbed affirmative action for the rich. Now, 3 minority advocacy groups are accusing the school of discrimination by giving preferential treatment to the children of wealthy donors and alumni, who of course are overwhelmingly rich and also overwhelmingly white. And they're citing the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling against affirmative action to bolster their lawsuit. The lawsuit, filed by the Lawyers for Civil Rights group on behalf of the Chica Project, the African Community Economic Development of New England, and the Greater Boston Latino Network, alleges the students who receive that preferential treatment are overwhelmingly white and make up as much as 15% of admitted students. Ooh. Now, Lawyers for Civil Rights said in a news release that this preferential treatment has nothing to do with an applicant's merit. Instead, it is an unfair and unearned benefit that is conferred solely based on the family that the applicant is born into. This custom, pattern, and practice is exclusatory and discriminatory. It severely disadvantages and harms applicants of color.
Which is all true. So you can't sit there and say, well, hey, we can't factor in race, but unless you're white. Then you're rich. Then we can factor in race. Because that's what they're doing. We can't factor in race if we think it's going to advantage Black kids. But rich white kids, well, yeah, we could factor that in all day long.
Right.
So they actually are using the Supreme Court's justification against them in this case. And considering that I would bet you 3 of the justices are legacy admissions.
Oh, I bet.
I'll bet you that was a little bit of a slap in the face. So we'll watch a little bit more of her. But I think that's hilarious.
Now, of course, the lawsuit comes right after the Supreme Court handed down a decision deeming affirmative action unconstitutional in college admissions, ruling that schools can no longer take race into consideration as a specific basis for accepting a candidate. The lawsuit cited that ruling and quoted the Supreme Court's majority, which said college admissions are zero-sum and a benefit provided to some applicants, but not to others, necessarily advantages the former at the expense of the latter. Now, the plaintiffs allege that a portion of the white students admitted to the school because of donor and legacy preferences would not be admitted otherwise, which would increase admissions opportunities for applicants of color. The numbers suggest that they're right. So let's get into those numbers. No, the records revealed that 70% of Harvard's donor-related and legacy applicants are white, And it's blatantly obvious from admissions data that the children of alumni and donors are way more likely to be accepted.
Oh, absolutely. So it's just a 7-layer dip of hypocrisy at this point, right?
Absolutely.
It's just, I don't know. It's hypocrisy on bullshit, on double standards, and I don't know, mayonnaise. I mean, it's just fucking nuts. But it's so funny to me because you look at that 70% of the donor related, right? Alumni, or not alumni, but students are white. And that's 15% of that college population. Got on not on merit, but on who they popped out of.
Right.
You know? It's just,
right. How's that different?
Right. Well, but here's the other thing that I think is so stupid and hypocritical about it, which is if you, without affirmative action, we know, because we've seen this before in California, like where they had that, when they banned affirmative action in California, you saw a 40% drop in African American students in like UCLA and Berkeley and those schools. Because we know that that's sort of baked into the system. It's not necessarily inherently racist, but the system itself, the way it is racist, right?
Right.
What we're arguing here is saying, well, but it's not fair to this person or that person. Well, you're arguing form over substance, which is always a stupid argument. You should be more interested in result than you should be interested in how do I feel about this. I mean, I think that's just a basic deal. You know?
I mean, the whole thing is really so ridiculous. You know, the whole legacy admission thing. It does skew predominantly toward white people. However, you know, they'll probably be able to keep getting away with it because they're able to say that it's not based on race. You know,
but
I don't know. Well, I bet you dollars to donuts they keep getting away with it. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, but now they can be sued for it, right? So if this lawsuit goes through, and you know, we'll see what happens with it. But if that were the case and this lawsuit goes through, it means that from now on, you know, if you're a black family and your kid doesn't get in, right, and you find out that your kid had really good scores and all that stuff, and you find out that they let in a white kid, now you can sue and go, well, that white kid, because like I said, it's a zero sum, right? That white kid took my kid's place. So now I'm going to sue Harvard for $300,000.
Yeah, I honestly kind of hope they do.
Yeah, that's why that'll be fun going forward.
Open the floodgate, man. Open the floodgate.
Open the floodgate. But if anything, the lesson for today, kids, is don't argue form over substance. Substance over form, always. Speaking of form over substance, we're going to move.